31 Whiteland Road. We're very fortunate in Johnson County, Greenwood, Franklin, all the agencies, Whiteland came together. We responded over here. We were taking calls for Greenwood because the majority of their officers came to Whiteland to help because they're a little bit closer, a lot closer than some of my units from the sheriff's office. But we still continue to ask people to be patient. We know that we have a lot of work being done on 135, especially on and US 31 as well. But just be patient with utility workers. And I know that a lot of county roads right now, because of those roads being closed, the county roads are taking a lot of traffic. We have cars out. We're trying to monitor the traffic, trying to slow folks down, trying to have them stop for the stop sign. It's just the little stuff that's going on right now, but we're just trying to make sure that the Johnson County stays safe. But there's still a lot that's going on. It's going to be going on for a few weeks, especially this week, to get all these utilities up and running for people.
Kind of give it a timeline as to when Duke Energy hopes to install the steel poles on Deuce 31 southbound, as well as in Barbersville. Is there a timeline at all so that people at least prepare for the rest of the work week?
I've been receiving daily updates from Duke Energy. Obviously they are working as diligently as possible. Even once they get their poles finished on US 31, it's been requested that there be a lane restriction so that Johnson County REMC and Barbersville utilities can come in and do their work. I don't have an ETA exactly on when the full restoration is expected. I know last night there were still 3,300 residents without power, and the majority of them, that was due, and a majority of them were within the Whiteland area. But they are working as fast as they can. We did get quite a few of the neighborhoods up and running yesterday, but it's just it'll take a little bit of time. As soon as I have an update, I will definitely provide that to you.
So you mentioned the phone number, the 317 number. Will that be manned 24/7? And what is your biggest challenge? Do you want the money, or do you really want water and diapers? Like what is the real need that people don't inundate you with things you don't need?
Right. So as far as so that 317 number, it is going to be available. I'll say 24/7, but we may not be able to get right back with folks just in the needing to really truly build our resources. Our incident management team should all be established today in our plan. I'm trying to begin taking the calls and then funnel out those calls to the appropriate resources. As far as what our greatest need is, I think once we can get this phone number and this email activated, we've started reaching out to the residents that have been impacted. And that's my first question to them is, are you okay? And then what is your greatest need? I think, those immediate daily needs would be my priority. But there may be something that they haven't come out and said, like, I need X, I need this. There's so much support, and I guess my biggest thing is that we have so much being donated right now, and that is fabulous. But where are we going to be in a month or two when we really need that help? Just to ensure that we have those resources available to us if they're still willing to donate a couple months down the road. It's not that we don't want their help now, but we're just so overwhelmed right now that we really need the help is when everybody kind of goes away. And where do we go months down the road to help these folks get back on their feet?
Sure. Do you have a warning for the folks that are driving around collecting metal, scrap metal artists who are looking for siding? Is there a message for those folks that may be intruding on private property?
If you're coming here to steal and defraud folks, we don't want you in the town. You're going to end up being arrested. You're going to go to jail. We have had some that have come through. They've helped homeowners pick up and asked if they could keep those metals, and they've allowed them to do that. That helps us with the cleanup process. But something that goes with that is there's going to be a lot of different construction companies. There's going to be some that are top-notch business people. And there's going to be some that's going to be looking to scam these folks right now in their time of need. And if you look at our Facebook page or Whiteland's Facebook page, it's got a list of things to look through when you're dealing with these contractors. So we suggest that folks take a look at those and know that they're picking out the right folks. But work with your insurance companies.
At this time, which streets in the town are still closed?
At this time, we do not have, all streets are open passable.
The 60, you gave us a number of things, 66, 69, 28, and 16. Are those all within the town of Whiteland, ma'am? Or
Yes, those are all in the town of Whiteland.
And now, what is the difference between 66 affected and 69 minor?
Okay, affected means just like shingles missing or like a piece of siding missing. Something that's going to be easy to fix. The minor is like roofs, more shingles off, the roofs or broken windows. The major is it's going to take.
Do you know how many people at this point are displaced?
No, and that's another thing I want to mention is I'm working with the state Department of Homeland Security to get vouchers for some of these residents that are displaced, that they can fill out a form and get a housing voucher to go to a hotel for 30 days.
So those aren't available yet.
No, I've just got the form sent to me, and the people that requested to fill out this form, and then we'll get the voucher. But
So like that being said, when I'm talking to some of the communities and centers, they're
Yes.
saying they're gonna point people in the right direction of where to get those
yes,
vouchers.
and I'll bring you the forms.
Okay.
I just received it, so I'm gonna have to print them out
So
and
should
bring
they
it over
come
there.
here or should they go to the donation
They
center?
need to go over there to the one-stop shop there.
So if they call the phone number, they can get the forms.
Correct.
Will the curfew be for the entire town or just the affected area?
I can speak to that. It is currently for the entire town, the incorporated town, and it's functionally a nighttime travel restriction, that no non-essential, no non-emergency travel. Part of the reason that I didn't do just affected areas is that because of the bottlenecks that have been created at 31 and at 65, you have massive traffic diversions through basically residential streets within the county. Those have caused no end of difficulty for law enforcement, and our law enforcement has worked their butts off. I'm in awe of the job they've done. However, there are only so many of them, and when they're having to fight those battles, particularly in the dark, it puts a huge strain on all of our resources, where I'm really concerned about other emergencies or other people in need that are not going to get as quick of a response time because they're dealing basically with those diversions and with that traffic. That said, I have drafted this order in such a fashion as to allow for work, school, emergencies, media, religious activities, so on and so forth. This is basically, don't be out unless you need to be out, and don't be out somewhere where there's affected homes, because there are a ton of unoccupied homes, there are a ton of damaged homes, there are a ton of homes that can't be secured, and simply is not protecting the citizens if people are wandering through those at night. So this was something that I thought that Chief Ship requested, that I thought would be an appropriate exercise of executive authority.
Just so when you need state or federal dollars to cover overtime or damage to infrastructure in the town, I'm aware that there were FEMA teams that came and visited a day ago. Will you be needing the state or the feds to provide coverage? Is your budget going to be okay, or are you sitting a lot of money?
Well, as to overtime and that sort of thing, my intention, and I can't speak for the entire council, but I'm pretty certain that they all agree, the town is going to make sure our employees are paid and compensated. And if that requires an additional appropriation, and it probably will, I would be happy to sponsor that. We have every intention of making sure that our people are compensated. As to our infrastructure damage and that sort of thing, I believe we will be eligible for state and as well as federal dollars, as well as through the various relief agencies. And I have to say that a lot of those relief agencies have reached out and have already done that work. But yes, based off my, admittedly non-professional assessment of the street garage and the fire station and the sewer treatment plant, we will definitely be seeking some assistance with that. There's a ton of critical infrastructure for the sewer plant.
How does the damage to that critical infrastructure impact your ability to deliver those services, such as fire and sewer? How much is that being impacted right now?
Fire is staging out of the new Whiteland police station. They have been wonderful neighbors, and our services are not interrupted because we don't have our station. Obviously, they're massively inconvenienced, but our neighbors around have both in providing places for us as well as in providing services. Greenwood Fire, Greenwood Police, Franklin Fire, Franklin Police, County, Barbersville, every agency has really been generous to us, and I want to say that I really appreciate that. As to the sewer, it's not pretty. It's running. The 31 closure makes it very difficult to resupply the diesel. I think that has now been opened up, but I can tell you that on Saturday, I and some guys from Greenwood were taking diesel tanks across the farm field to top those generators up so that the pumps keep running. It's not an ideal situation, but it is running, and I don't believe there's any reason why we can't keep it running up until all that is able to be resupplied.
What's it been like working with the state and federal agencies? How's that gone?
To be honest with you, we're so preliminary in this. I can't say right off the top because maybe, I don't know, perhaps Carmen can answer that better. I can tell you that I reached out to the governor's office on Saturday morning and that they got back with me fairly quickly and that the emergency declaration from the state came out then I believe later Saturday. And I also issued a local emergency declaration, which is part of the what opens the gates to various state and federal assistance.
Stephanie, you're waiting for feedback to get back to you with the report, and not knowing what that report will say. Under the best case scenario, what would you like to see that will allow you to cover expenses and also to help out?
Well, that's one thing I've told all the entities, they need to start tracking manpower, overtime, any cost that they have for any agency that's responded. But we're always trained. Disaster starts local and it has to end local. Now that doesn't mean that FEMA's going to come in and say we're going to help you pay for it, because in our thinking nowadays, because of all the disasters around the country, that, and Carmen we said it this morning, starts local, it ends local.
Do you have an estimate, or do you think you will have an estimate of how much damage was done to the community?
It won't be, I'm gonna work with Carmen, we need to get that information out, so once the homeowners can call my EMA office, and we'll take those, but we have to know if they have insurance, and what insurance, how much insurance is gonna cover. If they're not insured, I need to know what that loss is. So there's a lot of things that I have to collect to send to the state that they send to the federal.
So, how important is that relationship with the surrounding towns? Like you mentioned, some of your fire services temporarily staying out in Whiteland. You talked about Greenwood PD coming down to help out because they were close by. How important has that helped them?
Well, I can say that it's been invaluable. My house was hit. Structurally, my house is fine. Part of my garage is gone. All the trees are gone. My neighbor's trees came across the road. Within 15 minutes of the tornado passing, Greenwood Fire was there and the police were there, headed southbound. I ended up just getting a chainsaw out, cutting trees, hooking them to the fire truck, and dragging them out of the way so they could get to the collapsed houses down the way. That night, I saw Franklin, Bargersville County, Greenwood, everyone really stepped up. Both mayors contacted me, sheriff, the county executive, and they have sent both people and they've sent heavy equipment because our garage was completely destroyed and a lot of our equipment with us. And New Whiteland has been a wonderful neighbor throughout this, both in responding. They also had their own losses and so on and so forth, and in enabling us to have our fire department stage out there has been invaluable.
Can you clarify when the curfew ends in the morning? I just saw it was different on the slide.
It would end at 7 a.m.
7 a.m.
And it is on its face in effect through the night. However, I'll be in close contact with the chief sheriff, and as soon as we feel that need has been alleviated and that problem is passed, I would be more than happy to rescind it. If it can be earlier, if it is later, I will put it before the council, and I believe that's the way our ordinance works, to make certain that that's what they want to do to keep it into effect.
And I do know, when I went out and did this damage assessment and been walking around talking to some of these homeowners. They're very appreciative of the service they've already gotten, but they really need, help cleaning up. So we've just started letting volunteers go into these areas, because right after an event like this, you need residents to process it. They need time to collect their personal items, go through their debris. And then a lot of them are ready for help, because it's going to take quite a lot of volunteers to help clean some of this debris up.
Just curious, most of you are veterans of public service. How do you, in early stages, how do you see the storm? Obviously, the first responders responded well, but overall, how do you see the first 72 hours? Your perspective, sure.
I think that everybody's worked well together on this. And I go back to it, there's people from Columbus, Bartholomew County, Indianapolis, if it's IMPD, Southport, they responded. I watched the storm, and then the amount of people, when I was responding, my phone has not stopped ringing from 11:15 to 11:20 on Friday night. And this community really surprises me how they come together, all residents of Johnson County, to help out. So I'm truly amazed. One church, Grace Assembly of God, had 120 people out working to help clean up yesterday. So I think it's just going to take some time to get it done, but I think the community's going to help. They're going to get through this, and Whiteland's going to be much stronger. Johnson County will be much stronger.
One other thing I briefly want to say is that the town is working with residents who have uninhabitable homes to make certain that we're not charging them for utilities. That's something that is not I'm not going to take credit for the idea, although it's a wonderful idea. Our clerk treasurer, Deb Hendrickson, brought that to me, and I wholeheartedly agree that if a home is uninhabitable, we should not be charging them utilities. And so we put that into place. And I just want to briefly say that the same thing the sheriff said. The response of everybody in this county. My neighborhood, Park Forest, you could barely drive through it because there were so many volunteers. There were just so many volunteers parked on both sides of the road that were just there because they wanted to do right by their neighbors. I think we all should be really, really grateful for the kind of people that are in this county and to the good Lord, because for there to be nobody seriously injured or dead, he is.
Can you speak to morale in the town and how that's going?
As best I can tell, those that didn't get hit have been, I don't want to say, what's the right word for it? They have been so joyful to be able to help their neighbors. And that's the best word that I can use for it. The people that contacted me to come help me tarp my roof, people that are my neighbors, people that are across the street. My neighbor across the street is disabled. He's in a wheelchair. And his wife, does a ton of work on that place. The people that were immediately there to help them. And then came over, I was working on town stuff, came over and cut up some of the trees that had blown into my yard without me asking. And it really, people have been happy and joyful to go help those that really got hurt. And then those that got hurt, I can only speak for myself. I know that there are people that are tremendously hurting and who lost way more. But the knowledge that those around you really care about you, I think has really helped pick people up. And that's not in any way to minimize the suffering that people are going through, because there's terrible suffering and a lot of it. But I do think that in the dark times, some of the best of humanity has been shown. And that's another thing.
How long is the water boiling plant expected to last?
So on that one, that is undetermined just of yet, but we are working with actually Indiana American Water to help us with our labs. As we mentioned, our street garage was pretty much obliterated, and so our supplies and that. So we've been working with Indiana American Water to use their lab to check on the testing and that. As soon as the pressure can get back to normal, the stable pressure,
please remember, these people are devastated in our community. If it's an inconvenience to have to take a detour or it slows you up getting home from work or wherever you're going, please be mindful that we've got residents that have totally lost everything they've had. And please be kind to the officers that's out there. They're working on 24 to 30 hours with no sleep, trying to secure this community. And their morale is still up. And I try to send them home and they won't. They'll go home for a few hours and they're right back up working. As well as the sheriff's people, everybody, all the first responders are coming back. But please, in the public, be mindful these people have lost a great loss and they're going through quite a bit. If it's inconvenience to take a detour somewhere or be a little bit late getting somewhere, be patient with us and remember the people in your prayers that have lost everything.
Any other questions? Any last things you guys have to say? Anything you want to offer? Okay. We'll end the press conference at this point. Then thank you very much for coming out this afternoon. And we'll continue to update if there's going to be any future press conferences, but we'll be getting more media information out in a short period of time. Thank you.